This is why you can't love yourself. Saying to yourself again and again, I love myself, I'm beautiful, I'm worthy. If you find that these things don't work, if you find that it's almost as if there's nothing to receive those words on the inside of you, there is no place to put those words, there is no container for that love, for that value. If you have experienced the complete opposite growing up, if you've experienced that people call you worthless, useless, ugly, not good enough, if you've not been treated with kindness, but instead with harshness, if you've been around evil people, if you've been around abusers, if you've constantly been mirrored in the fact that you're worthless and loveless and ugly, trying to put in the opposite of those emotions rarely help. What does help is acknowledging that you have learned to accept that you're worthless. You've learned to build a life based on the fact that you feel worthless. You have learned to relate to people based on the fact that you feel worthless. That container that should have held love and worthiness instead is a container of shame, guilt, worthlessness, lack of love. It is not just an empty container, but the container itself, the foundation itself, in which you should have felt loved and safe, is a container that is unhealthy, not good for you. Maybe you've heard the analogy of a bucket with holes. And no matter how much love you put into that bucket, it's gonna seep right out. So it doesn't matter how much love you put into it, because the container is broken. The self is destroyed. And this is not to say that there's no hope. But if we ignore that fact, if we just try and force love into a space that was never made for love, then it is like running as fast as you can towards a goal that never comes. It's not just the fact that you build a life and identity around the worthlessness. It's not just that worthlessness is your foundation. It's what is safe, it is what is known. But it's also the fact that this is not a neutral thing. This is not about you learning a specific language and not understanding the language that you were supposed to learn, a language of love. It is not just about something neutral as a language. It's about being caused harm again and again. It's about not being loved again and again, not being supported, not being held, being treated as you were wretched, being treated as though you didn't belong, being treated as though you were a burden to people around you. That hurts. That damages a person. That breaks a person down. And when we can start to bring awareness into that fact, that this is not only our foundation, but it's also something that harmed us. It's something that hurt us deeply. Then we can start to grieve it. Then we can start to feel it. And then we can start to repair those holes. We can start to build a new container that is built on safety and love and trust, where we can put even more love and worth and safety into. We can't force love into a space of hate. But when we have created a space within us, where we have allowed ourselves to feel, allowed ourselves to grieve, allowed ourselves to feel the pain of the past, and not just ignore the past and get it over with, but actually take it seriously, actually deal with it, then we can start to rebuild ourselves. Then we can start to put more love into ourselves, feel more loved, feel more worthy, feel more beautiful, then we can start to say to ourselves, I'm worthy, I'm loved, I'm valuable, I'm beautiful, I'm talented. And all of these things will echo deep within us. All of these things will mirror the state that we're in. If you don't have the state within you, trying to say those things does not resonate. And sure, you can do these validating exercises where you look into the mirror and say, I love myself again and again and again. And I do believe that our thoughts hold power, and the things that we think about ourselves hold power. But there's not just one truth. It is also the realization that if we do believe that our thoughts hold power, then we also do believe that the thoughts we have can impact us, can harm us. And understanding that harm and understanding what that has done to us, to think of ourselves as worthless, I think that is important before we start to move on and before we start to substitute those thoughts with different thoughts. Because again, as I said before, this is not a neutral thing. It's not about you learning another language. It's about realizing that those things that happened to you and how you were forced to respond and how those things that were said to you again and again is something that you learned to say to yourself again and again. Understanding how it impacted you that people treated you like that. Because you were holding on to something that is painful. And forcing something good into that space doesn't make the painful stuff go away. It just makes you suppress the painful things. So when we can feel it, when we can acknowledge it, we can also start to let go of it naturally. And the more we can let go of all those thoughts and feelings about how worthless we are, the more space there is inside of us to hold all the love and worth that we are.